All I have for you is a word. Tenet.
Now, Tenet was once again written and directed by Christopher Nolan, and the film focuses on a young CIA agent who's being recruited by a secret organization only known as Tenet. These people bring him in order to prevent World War III. Yeah, he's supposed to take down a Russian bad guy. However, this is not your typical spy movie, because as you've already seen in the trailer, he's being introduced to the concept of inversion. Bullets are no longer being fired, they are being caught by the gun.
Well, I've seen too much. Well, we'll try and keep up.
The same goes for cars. They seem to drive backwards. Something is manipulating time. And the way we perceive time is tested in this film. And that's all I'm gonna say about the plot. Now, ever since Christopher Nolan announced this film, ever since I saw the trailers, I was hyped, man, because I like Christopher Nolan. I like what he does for cinema. I like what he does for blockbuster cinema. Because while every other director out there only utilizes CGI, he's an admirer of old school cinema, which means every set piece you see, every explosion you see, every fight sequence you see, all these amazing images are real and practical. He utilizes practical effects. I think he's been on record. He said that this movie had fewer CGI than your average rom-com. How amazing is that? This film is a genuine spectacle, and for that alone, you should go and see it in theaters, because trust me, these images translate so well to the big screen. They were made for a big screen, and this movie is without a doubt a spectacle, a mindfuck and a spectacle. Now, is this movie perfect? No, but I'll get to the complaints, the nitty-gritty in a second. First, let's talk about what I did like about the film. I already talked about the practicality, but man, you cannot praise this movie enough for the practicality. As you saw in the trailer, a plane ran through a building, and that actually happened on set. The fight choreographies are amazing, and Christopher Nolan really learned a lot from his previous mistakes, because if you look at Batman Begins, the fighting sequences were so choppy and heavily edited. This time around, we have long shots. It just looks so fluid. It's amazing. And the acting overall is really good. I mean, I haven't seen a lot from John David Washington yet, but he really worked as this smooth agent. Because this movie, first and foremost, is an homage to James Bond. I mean, we all know that Christopher Nolan is a hardcore fan of James Bond, and he already referenced Bond when he did Inception, but this is his first legit spy movie. And now we get to the nitty-gritty, because when I first saw it in theaters, the first half, I was kind of let down and kind of disappointed, to be honest with you guys, because it just seemed like your average spy movie, and I have no problem whatsoever with spy movies. I have no problem with Mission Impossible or James Bond, but this is Christopher Nolan we're talking about, and there's always that Nolan spin. There's always that Nolan turn, that larger-than-life idea that he utilizes so well. And during the first half, I was like, okay, so bullets are flying backwards, but other than that, it's basically just your average spy movie. However, I was patient enough to anticipate the second half of the movie. And the second half is where the movie kicks itself into gears, because this is where we really and truly utilize the idea of time inversion, and it's fucking incredible. What he pulled off in this movie, once again, is insane. I mean, Christopher Nolan has always been great at taking these larger-than-life concepts like Inception, a dream within a dream, and tell a fascinating story with this concept. And he does it once more, and it's not overly complex, if I'm being honest. Another thing that he learned from his previous mistakes is the fact that this movie doesn't heavily rely on expositional dialogue. People bitched about that when it came to Inception. Personally, it never bothered me with Inception, because we had Ellen Page's character, Ariadne, on screen, and she was a rookie, so she needed some explaining. Also, I believe in the show don't tell rule, but in the case of Inception, they did tell us stuff, but at the same time they showed us stuff, and these images are burned into my mind. So I still really love Inception. Which brings me to the biggest flaws of Tenet, and that is the fact that the characters are extremely bland. And I'm not shitting on the actors, because everyone gives a fine performance. I already mentioned John David Washington. He's terrific as a special agent. He's smooth. He has that Bond vibe going on. But you know what? I literally learned nothing about him. I don't even know his name. He's being referred to as the protagonist, which is kind of pretentious. Robert Pattinson is in this film, and he's cool, he's slick, he has a few cool one-liners, and he is in charge of the expositional dialogue. He worked for me, but then again, I want to learn more about this dude, and I didn't. Kenneth Branagh easily gives the best performance in the film as the antagonist, and he's an intense dude. And you know what? He pulls off a pretty legit Russian accent. I would know. I grew up with Russian. So when he's all like, you can try to come after me. I will find you and I will kill you. He's pretty legit. I was like, damn, man, you know your shit. But again, he's a very one-dimensional antagonist. The same goes for our protagonist, which is a bummer, because Christopher Nolan in the past has created some amazing rivalries between protagonists and antagonists. I mean, the Batman and Joker are two leads in The Prestige. This time around, not so much, which really bothered me. Elizabeth Debicki is the heart and soul of the film, the most fleshed out character, but even she is kind of bland, even though she gives a terrific performance. But that kind of threw me out of the film, because the concept and the story both were so interesting. But since there wasn't a single character that I could latch onto, I kind of felt left unsatisfied. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry about that.
That part is a little dramatic.
However, that having been said, this movie is still a spectacle. It is still better than most blockbusters we have these days. And it was one of the most fulfilling cinematic experiences I've had this year. I know I've only had a few due to the pandemic. But you know what? Tenet was another great original story, and I respect Christopher Nolan for that. Is it his best movie? No, it isn't. Is it a bad movie? No, not at all. I'm going to say that Tenet gets the silver medal. I still had a blast with this film, but I do take some issues with the way the characters were written, because Christopher Nolan can do so much better than that. He's not only good at utilizing concepts. We've seen it with The Prestige. We've seen it with Memento. We've seen that he's able to tell character-driven stories. This time around, however, he failed, in my opinion. But these are just my opinions. So now I'm going to ask you, Tenet, have you seen it? What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comment section below. And thank you guys, as always, for watching. If you like what you see here and you want to see more, then just subscribe.